When money enters the game, trust becomes the most important rule. Welcome to part 29 of the journey from idea to fantasy sports platform in 100 days or less. Today I want to talk a bit about development, and specifically about scoring and rewards. To keep development costs down, I'm coding the scoring logic myself in Excel. It's simple. I'll assign points for aces, games won, sets won, and deduct points for things like double faults, games lost, or sets lost, just like any other fantasy sports game. That gives me a framework, a way to test, balance, and refine the gameplay mechanics before we ever write a single line of back-end code. Now, if I'm going to offer real rewards, those have to come from somewhere, and this is where things get tricky. There was a company a few years ago called Football Index, which tried something similar. Incidentally, it came to market about a year after I wrote my first blueprint back in 2013-14. And honestly, it was eerily similar, especially in its literature and the way it explained its model. But I'm not going to get into the details. What matters is what happened next. Put simply, Football Index offered unsustainable rewards using a dividend structure where they effectively paid users with new users' funds. Some called it a Ponzi scheme, others saw it as a misregulated stock market. Either way, it collapsed, leaving thousands with massive losses. So what can we learn from that? First, the model itself kind of worked. People loved it. The market is there. But the rewards have to be sustainable. And that's where transparency comes in. If the dividends or values are based purely on player performance, and those values stay proportional to the actual funds in the system, it can be sustainable. That's principle 7, transparency. Everything should be an open book, everything except the core algorithm behind player valuation and scoring, as that's the secret sauce. But as long as the values times the number of shares never exceed the total available funds, and we account for costs on top, the model stays stable. And for trust, those totals should always be visible to users and accessible to regulators if required. If we ever handle customer deposits, those funds must go into a completely separate account from the company's. User money must always be fully protected. So this isn't about chasing money, it's about building something real and doing it right. Tomorrow, we'll look a bit more at target audiences to make sure we're designing this for the right people and speaking their language. Hit like, follow, and join me tomorrow because the next step is understanding who we're really building this for.